What do non-military leaders misunderstand about the Marine Corps, and what can they learn from the Marine Corps leadership?
What I've discovered about the military specifically is the Army provides something that is unique. It's mass, it's total capacity, it's a national mobility. It includes a National Guard and a reserve status that it dwarfs, puts the rest of the services in small comparison. The Air Force is highly operational. Their whole paradigm is predicated off getting large airplanes in the air to do big missions, and that takes a lot of process and procedures. But with the Marine Corps, what people often forget is that it's small, and it has, over its 250 years of history, found ways to adapt itself to what the nation wants. And I think that specifically is a unique quality that the Marine Corps provides to its nation. Um, Interesting, somewhat controversial book, depending on who you talk to. I loved it, but Heather Venable wrote a really nice book called "How the Few Became the Proud." Um, she describes this context of her growing up with her father, who was a Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant or Sergeant Major, I believe, and she has these characteristics, these typical masculine, hypermasculinity activities that the Marines do. But that same time, that breadth of Marine Corps esprit de corps and the culture that it builds um, was intensely committed to values, and not just values of things, but values of people, which is the other comparison I would say is the U.S. Navy as just they're a maritime sea fleet operating big ships. They're probably one of the only organizations in Congress that get specifically told to buy a certain number of ships. We don't get told to buy a certain number of airplanes. We have organizational requirements, but the Navy has to buy 10 aircraft carriers or 11, right? And it's specifically called out by Congress. But they are, as the motto, I think, of the Academy would be shipmate, self, right? So this idea of selflessness is important, but the ship at all costs, right? Well, in the Marine Corps, it's honor, courage, and commitment. And it's this commitment to your Marines and faithfulness to its principles and its leadership traits and values, right? And so that means that the Marine Corps, unlike any other service, is is about people. Um, because it's dependent on people, the people themselves take it upon themselves to do what is right at the time when they need to. And so there is no one in this world that will frustrate me more than a Marine that's hyper motivated to do the wrong thing. But at the exact same time, you'll find other Marines that are kind of breaking ranks because they know that they see something that needs to be done, that needs to be organized, and demonstrate a sense of selfless commitment to an initiative that maybe they aren't being told what to do. And that's a lesson if you look in historical books on World War II and before. Is the Army, it's just a big machine, and it takes a lot longer for the cadre of soldiers to come to that capacity to make change. So the Marine Corps is kind of a interesting sized organization. Um, the other aspect to it is not all Marines are, while all Marines might be riflemen, not all Marines do the same thing. We actually operate, as I tell people at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization that I work at right now, at NATO, is Marines are not joint, but they're all domain. They do air, land, sea, space, and now cyber in a high degree. They do information. They're adapting their tools for the trade, kind of looking forward, not looking backwards. It's a high degree of commitment to the tradition of values, not in tradition of process. And so they're willing to throw away the old textbook, rewrite it, see if it works, and play around. And that agility within the organization is definitely fostered to a larger degree by the leadership.